It's time. We're doing it again. Zozo Suit, number 2, coming at you. Now, in the right size. Right? Let's suit up. Hi, I'm Alice, the Fabric Ninja, and we are trying Zozo Suit try number 2. If you have been around or seen the other video, you will know that try number 1 was a failure. Well, it was a failure for me. My friend Karen, it actually worked pretty well for. But for me, they sent me the wrong size. So I sent an email off to the Zozo Suit company, and yes, they said that, oops, sorry, we sent you the wrong size. They had sent me a 6, and they have provided me with a size 8 now. So it is time to suit up and see how much better my experience is this time. On the last video, if you haven't seen it, you can certainly go check it out up here. Follow the little eye thing, and it'll take you there. But you can also just follow along with this video. I'm going to cover all the important stuff anyway. Mostly, I'm going to be following the steps that I came up with to make sure I have a good experience. And those steps are going to help you have a good experience with your suit as well. The first step was have a suit that's the right size. Now that's not something any of us can control, because when we get our suit, we simply put in our height, weight, and gender, and they send us one. They made a little mistake, or perhaps they had no idea what suit to send me, which is fine, because we all know that your weight and height do not necessarily determine what size you are. Two people of relatively differing weights can only be a size apart from each other. As we saw in the last video, my friend Karen and I are about 100 pounds apart, and we're only a couple of sizes apart. So they didn't probably know what to send me, and they are working through customer service and learning from their mistakes. So here we are. That was the first step. Let me suit up. Yeah, that fits totally. Okay. Important thing, we gotta pay attention to where all of our dots are, because the only thing that the app is going to be able to see is the dots. It literally can see nothing else. And I'm gonna say that like a million times. So these little tiny dots here, this row, those need to be on my wrist, because that is where the computer looks to see that that's where my wrist is. So I need to take both of these and line them up on my wrist. And I'm going to take the extra slack, which won't be slack in a minute, and move it down my arm so that they are fitting properly. In other fun things, because I am a seamstress after all, you gotta look at these thummies. These fit so well. Look super close at these. So it is the cut of the fabric wings out for the hand. There's a hem at the top here, done with a cover stitch, but then the thumb is actually, like the edge of it has a not a casing, it has a binding. So I would imagine that the side seam was sewn. This is left open at that point. The edge binding was done around kind of a big U shape to make it easy, and then the last of the seam was sewn, and then the end. Super beautiful thummy. Everyone loves a good thummy, right? Next up, we have the high collar, and these little dots around here are telling them where my neck is. And now for the pants. Crossing my fingers. Can you even tell that I don't have pants on? The fun of YouTube. Here's the pants, and they're not on me. Oh, these are so much better. So much. Actually kind of loose. There we go. The entirety of the Zozo Suit. We have our nice polka dotted top. We have our nice polka dotted bottoms. And now it's time to check to make sure everything is lined up right. I'm going to be facing this way, as I have a mirror right here. And so I'm going to be using it instead of a partner to allow me to get everything lined up. Because getting this lined up is the best chance of getting a good fit because you'll have accurate measurements. On the ankles, these are the dots. Well, that is how long your pants are going to be. So if these have pulled up at all, which is totally normal when you're putting on leggings, is to kind of pull the bottoms a bit much, you need to now shimmy those back down where they need to go. And next, you need to look at how things are balanced. So are the dots on one side of your leg the same as the other dots? Is one leg moved up or down from the other? Because they need to be even. That is, if your body is even. By now in your life, you probably know if your body is not symmetrical. Meaning you put on a normal pair of pants and you find out one leg is an inch longer than the other. It might be the pants, but it's more likely you. So you'll probably know these things about yourself. I know that this hip is about an inch higher than this hip. So when I make skirts, I definitely give myself some extra hem over here so I can get it even, because I know the skirt is going to hike up. When I'm wearing pants though, it doesn't really hike up because they're held down by your crotch, so I don't have so much trouble with them. So now we need to look at the hip. You need to look at your hip measurement and see that you have a set of dots right across your hip, which I absolutely do. This is the widest part of my front, and I can check out my butt as well, so that there is a set of dots that is more or less going directly across my booty. Because we got to account for the booty, right? Very important. Okay, next up I'm going to work at the top down, and then we'll focus on the waist area next. And now I need to look at my boobs. So this set of dots right here is actually going above my bust. So I'm going to turn sideways so you can see. This set of dots is above my bust, and the next set of dots is below my bust. It's totally what happened last time, is that it can only measure where the dots are. So it measured here, and it measured here, and it means it actually knocked several inches off my bust measurement. So what I need to do is go a scooch, a scooch, a scooch. Just make sure that there is a set of dots that is going directly across the boobage. There we go. Excellent. Isn't that flattering? Now for the waist. It's a little complicated, at least for me. My body shape is my body shape, and it's just the way it is. So I need to figure out how to use this tool to work best for my body shape. My waist is kind of hidden. I have hips that come up into a waist, and then I have pooch that goes over it, and then the rest of my body. So my waist is very hidden inside. So I need to figure out if there's a way I can make this suit work for my waist. So let's see how it's sitting right now. Okay, right now, this is my waist. Yeah, I know it's really far down. Most people's waists are gonna be right here. I have an extremely long torso. When I have to change patterns for sewing, I add about 4 inches to my torso. But don't worry, I make up for it. The pants, I need low rise, and they still look like mom jeans. So my body waist is just significantly lower. So this is where my waist is. Make sure you're focusing on your waist when you do this, not down where my waist is. This is probably, so hip, you could probably have high hip and waist. But my waist is here. So I want to make sure there's a set of dots that are going across my waist. So right there, yep, I have a set of dots. Now when we get to the side here, my waist goes in. So I wonder if I kind of push a set of dots into my waist and not wear this like a shirt, because you know, I pull shirts and they just kind of like smooth over everything. I don't want this to smooth over everything. I want this to go right into my waist. Make sure that there is a line of dots where my waist is the smallest. I'll have to check that one out. And back around to the other side. So, step 1, a suit that fits. Yep. Step 2, making sure the dots are on your important points. Waist dots, I have boob dots. Already checked my legs. Step 3, good lighting. I had a lot of problems with this last time, and I will freely admit I'm in the same basement where I was before. But I've picked a better spot in the basement that has a little bit different lighting. I have another light on me today, and if this doesn't work, I will go back out on my deck and we will do it where we know it works. So here we go. Time for the app. If you haven't seen any Zozo videos yet, this is the phone stand that comes with everything. It's terrible, but it works. Okay, let me set this up and do it.
Your arms are spread too wide. Please lower them slightly.
That's a new prompt.
You are in a perfect position. Please do not move or make any adjustments to your suit from this point forward. If the markers on the suit move, the measurement process may fail. We will begin the measurement process standing in the 12 o'clock position, followed by clockwise movements until you turn 360 degrees. Position. You're done. The measurement process is complete.
So much easier than last time. It just worked. Look at that. It just worked. Crazy. Okay, I'm super excited to see these measurements. Please confirm you would like to see the measurements. Really? I put on the suit. I want to see the measurements. Look at that. It is measuring my actual bust, my actual hips. Now, the waist is still an issue. My thighs are the same, calf is good, inseams, they're measuring them quite a bit different here, so I think I might try them one more time and judge things a little bit more. The waist. I just don't know how I'm going to get the waist any better, but that's what we're here to do. Experiment, get messy, make mistakes, right? All those things that Miss Frizzle tells our kids. So let's do it again. I took 4 sets of measurements today. The first one you've seen most of the recording of, so you know approximately what I did. The second 2, I just did a little futzing, wiggling, seeing if I could perfect things. And the last one, I just kind of pulled the shirt down, did a little wiggle, wiggle, and then took them. The best set of measurements today was number 1. It actually measured my bust perfectly, and it was just a little bit bigger on the hip, about 3/4 of an inch bigger than what my tape measure said. Now, is it close enough for custom clothing? I don't know. When the Zozo Suit was introduced to the North American market, I signed up to get a free suit, and they also have given me a free shirt and a free pair of pants. Now, the styles of these are not exactly fitted. The t-shirt should be relatively fitted, but the pants are actually a straight leg. So we're not going to really be able to determine the leg measurements, how well they translated into the pants later. Because sewing is my major interest and I want to use this as a sewing tool, let's evaluate it truly for sewing. First, it is easy to put on and it's easy to take measurements. Once you get used to the process of lining up your dots, it actually goes really quickly. And if you have a body where all of your body points are well exposed to the camera, it should be easy for you to use and to get accurate numbers. Of the 4 times that I took my pattern measurements today, they were all relatively close. Talking about the bust and the hip, the bust went from 61.75 to 63.5. Certainly a bit of difference, but still within a pattern size. And the hips was from 65 to 66 inches. Only an inch different and definitely within a pattern size. I went and checked out the measurements of one of my favorite pattern companies, Rad Patterns, an indie designer, and those both fall squarely within her 4X size. And I love her patterns, by the way, and her inclusive sizing. If you haven't checked out Rad Patterns, I'll make sure to leave a link below so that you can make sure to find everything. So this variation in sizes that the Zozo Suit got for me is not a problem for plus size. Unfortunately, I can't really compare the different numbers on a smaller size body. So I would love to hear from you. If you are smaller bodied and tried out the Zozo Suit, leave me a comment and tell me about what variation you saw within the suit. On the app, below the chart where you see the body with all the images on it, there's actually a list of the sizes that you can look at. And one thing I realized is there's not a lot of length measurements, so that would definitely be a problem for a home sewer. One of the length measurements, which was really unexpected to me, was actually neck to hip. That's not a normal measurement that we would take, but it certainly makes sense for when you're making clothing, because most of us like our shirts kind of about hip length. So for neck to hip, they just took that measurement, and that's the length shirt they're going to make. So super cool that they take that, but kind of difficult for a home sewer to look at that and get the information they need. So you're still going to have to take some additional measurements to make sure that the pattern is going to fit you properly. But those leg measurements are actually amazing for sewing your own clothing. A lot of companies that do leggings actually include the thigh and calf measurement, so you can figure out what pattern size works best for you. For me, I find that my hips are generally a size, sometimes 2 sizes larger than my legs are, which ends up leaving me with kind of baggy leggings. And when you sew your own, you can just grade down to the size that you need for the different parts of your body. I have already logged into the Zozo Suit website. Up here, you can see me. You can see all of the measurements that I took today. And this set, 1, 2, 3, 4, the very first set, were the best ones from today. So I'm going to load those, and I'm going to set these as my default. This set of measurements had the chest measurement that was exactly how I tape measured it. And the hip was very close as well. The thighs are relatively even, which means that I didn't have the suit weird. My ankles are similar size, my calves are, and the inseams are relatively close. Now I can see my free items. I have a t-shirt, and it tells me what the body measurements are going to be. And it has a jean here, the wide straight leg jean, which I mentioned, and it tells me the information here. Well, it's a little weird for me because, okay, it just said that my hip measurement was 65, and it's telling me that they're going to send jeans that are 67 inches. Jeans actually rarely have much ease at all. Some jeans actually have negative ease, meaning they're smaller than your body. I'm a little perplexed by the jeans being larger than my hip, but it does look like not a slim fitting jean, a little bit relaxed, so I guess okay. And here we have the V-neck shirt again. The chest is going to come 67 inches, and it measured my chest at 61.75 inches. That seems a bit excessive for a t-shirt. That is a lot of ease. This is certainly not going to be a close-fitting t-shirt or something that skims the body. It's going to be pretty loose and boxy. And shoulders at 22 inches. I kind of want to go back and look at my measurements and see if that makes sense. So let's go back. Maybe I can get to my measurements again. There we go. It says my shoulders are 23.25 inches. Well, I certainly think that sounds a little wide, but they also said they were going to do the shoulders at 22 inches. I'm not going to take more measurements at this point. I could go back and I can compare all the shoulder measurements, but I already know that this has the chest and the hip that are the best of all of them. So I guess I'm just going to go with it. I don't have any other options here because I was part of the freebies. So, okay. There we go. It's done. I contacted the Zozo Suit company to see if there was anything that we could do about the waist measurement being so off. And I was told that since I've placed my order, there's nothing they can do, but I should have seen a set of alterations available when I added my item to a cart. Well, nothing showed up when I did it, so I went back to see what would happen. So I'm going to add these mid-rise skinny jeans here. And once I hit add to my bag, you see all of these fit options show up. Totally did not see these when we did ours. Literally nothing popped up. So here you see you can adjust your fit. So the waist, you can adjust up and down a small amount depending on how much you like the fit. And your hips, here's that. You can adjust up and down. And the outseam length, you can decide whether you kind of want a cropped length or all the way down to like some extra slouchiness. Now the coolest thing that I see here is specify your measurements. Look at that. I could have just went in and went, here is my actual waist measurement, and overridden what they had. I wish these options would have popped up when I was ordering mine, and maybe I'll be able to return them for ones that fit better. But at least you guys know that these options are available and we can circumvent any issues you have with getting your body measurements to show up properly with the suit, particularly if you have a hidden waist like mine. I just received an email from the Zozo company and my clothes will be here in 6 to 8 weeks. Yep. My clothes will arrive late May, early June 2019, and it is currently early April. Well, it's not what I expected, but I kind of thought it might happen because I had heard lots of rumors about things taking a really long time, even longer than that. So we wait, and that's okay, because I'm going to have lots of sewing videos for you in the meantime. But if you hit that subscribe and bell button below, you will make sure to be notified of when my clothes get here, and I will try them on as soon as I can. Thank you for watching along with another Fabric Ninja video. Happy sewing, and may your bobbin always be full.